Dear learners, this is the second units of the block number 3, that is the public sphere and emergence and decay. That will be the cover these slides. Now come to the important things. That is the Habermas explorations of the public sphere, particularly in the seminal works. The structural transformations of the public sphere, 1962, develops deeply into the emergence and decay of the public sphere in the Western society. The concept address how public debates and debates emergence of the decades in the public sphere in Western society. The concept addressed over the time due to the socio-economics and political transformations. Below in a details examinations of both the emergence and decay of the public sphere in Habermas frameworks. Emergence of the public sphere, historical context. The public sphere as a Habermas represents its emerged in the late 17th and the 17th and the 18th century in the Western Europe, particularly in England, France, and Germany. This period, known as the Age of Enlightenment, was marked by the rise of bourgeois society, where a new class of citizens began to engage in public life in a way that were previously exclusive to aristocrats or the state officials. Some important factors for its emergence: rise of bourgeois class. The bourgeois is growing middle class, merchants, professionals, and intellectuals become increasingly involved in the public discourse. They were not only economically independent but also eager to discuss politics, cultures, and society outside the realm of the state or church. Expansions of literacy and print cultures. The spread of literacy could be the growth of printing press, enable the circulations of books, pamphlets, and newspapers. These mediums provided access to transformations and allowed for wide-ranging discussions among private individuals about the public affairs. Another kind that is called the new venue for the debates. The creations of physical space for the public discussions, such as coffee house in England, saloon in France, literary society in Germany, facilitate face-to-face interactions among citizens. These are spaces were open to anyone with an interest in public issue and allowed for a culture of rational, critical debates. Now come to the functions and role of the early public sphere. The public sphere of this period was a realm where private individuals could come together to engage in rational debate about the matters. These discussions were not merely casual conversations, but rather critical evaluations of government's policy, societal issue, and cultural developments. These rational critical debates had several features: autonomy from the states. The public sphere was independent of government controls, allowing citizens to engage freely in discussions about the state policy, legislatures, and other social issues. Region discourse discussions in the public sphere were expected to be based on regions and logics. Participants were encouraged to engage in critical debates rather than accepting argument based on authority or the traditions. Formations of public opinions. The public sphere played a critical role or crucial role in the formations of the public opinions, which in turn could influence a state policy and hold government officials accountable. Citizens could collectively express their view and challenge government decisions, leading to greater transparency and responsiveness from the states. Next point, that is called the public sphere and deliberative democracy. Another major contributions from the Habermas is his concept of the public sphere, elaborate in his work, that is structural transformations of the public sphere. He defined public sphere as a space where citizens come together to discuss matters of common concern, forming public opinions that can influence political decision makings. In his later work, Habermas links that idea of public sphere to deliberate democracy, where rational public discourse rather than interest groups. Politics form of the foundations of legitimate political authority. He argued that democracy should be based on open communications and debate in the public sphere, enabling citizens to engage in deliberations rather than being passive subjects of the administrative or economic decisions. Next is that is called the decay of the public sphere. While the public sphere played a central role in the early democratic life, Habermas argued that if underwent a structural transformations during the 19th and 20th century, leading to its declines, this idea was the result of several socio-political and economic challenges, which undermine the democratic potentials of the public sphere. Rise of capitalism and mass media. The growth of capitalism and consolidations of mass media played a significant role in the commodifications of the public sphere. As the media became a dominated by large corporate interests, the nature of public discourse changed dramatically. Key factors in the decay of the public sphere. One is commercializations of the media. In the early public sphere, the media, newspapers, books, pamphlets served as the vehicles for public debates. However, by the 19th century, the media become commercialized, increasingly controlled by the private company that prioritize the profits over the national's critical debates. The rise of advertising further shifting media from fostering discussions to selling products and lifestyles. Entertainments over the informations. Media began to focus more on entertainments rather than providing citizens with informations increasingly for meaningful participations in public life. News outlets become driven by the rating relationship and sales, which led to the simplifications and sensitizations of public issue. Rational, critical debates was replaced by passive consumptions of informations and entertainments. Next, that is called the state interventions and bureaucratizations. As the public sphere decayed, the state began to play a more intrusive role in shaping public opinions. This shift reflects the bureaucratizations of the political life and expansions of the welfare state in the 20th century. The growing role of the state alongside corporate interest led to the situations where public discourse was no longer autonomous. Manipulations of public opinions. With the rise of bureaucratic states and sophisticated public communications strategy, government began to manipulate public opinions. Public's relations, company, propaganda, and media managements by the state become common, reducing role of rational discussions in the favor of strategic manipulations. Welfare state and depolitizations. The developments of the welfare state also contribute to the depolitizations of public life as citizens become increasingly reliant on the state institutions for welfare and economic security. The scope of active political participations was reduced. People were more inclined to the view themselves as passive recipients of state benefits rather than active participate in shaping public's policy. Next is refederalizations of the public sphere. Habermas used the term refederalizations to describe the way in which public sphere has in modern times reverted a form of hierarchical control, much like the feudal periods when states and aristocracy dominate public lives. In modern age, large corporations, political elite, and media conglomerates have come to the dominance public discourse. In this refederalization public sphere, private interest dominates public debates is no longer free or equal, but instead shaped by the interest of corporates and public elites. The general public is increasingly marginalized with overall groups controlling what issues get discussed and how they are framed. Declines of participatory democracy. Citizens are largely reduced to speculators consuming precarious informations and entertainments rather than participating activity in the shapings of public opinions. Public relations lobby and media campaigning control the flow of informations and influencing public decisions sideline the democratic role of the public spheres. Now come to the that is the fragmentations of the public sphere. Another contributions to the decay of the public sphere is its fragmentations in the modern pluralistic society. With rise of the diverse cultural, social, and political groups, the idea of a single unified public sphere has become less politicized. Instead, there are multiple often competing public spheres which can lead to polarizations. Fragmentations can contribute to the political and social polarizations, where different groups are unable or unwilling to engage in dialogues with one another. Loss of a common grounds, the absence of shared public space for discussions, weakness, and the ability of society to form coherent public opinions that can influence the political process. Another things that I talk about in the concluding manners about the public affairs emergence and decay. Habermas accounts of the emergence and decay of the public sphere offers a powerful analysis of how democratic participations and rational discussions have been shaped by the historical developments. The public sphere, as it emerged in the early bourgeois society, play a crucial role enabling citizens to engage in rational critical debates about the policy and culture, thus contribute to the developments of modern democracy. However, over the times, public sphere delayed due to the capitalist commercializations, state interventions, and rise of mass media, which shifted public discourse from a participatory to a passive consumption models. Despite this decline, Habermas' works remains a critical reference point for discussions about the reviving democratic engagements and reclaiming the public sphere as a space for regions inclusive debate. Now come to the important thing that the theory of communicative actions, Habermas' linguistic terms. Habermas' theory of communicative actions in 1981 represented pivotal developments in his philosophical works, often referred to as linguistic term. This theory integrate insight from the philosophy, sociology, and linguistics to develop a comprehensive understanding of social interactions, rationality, and social orders. It contrasts earlier critical theory, which focused on economic structures and ideology, by shifting the focus towards communications and language as the basis for human actions and social cohesion. Below is a detailed explanation of the Habermas linguistic term and key concept of his theory. That is the linguistic term and shift into the focus. The term a linguistic term refer to the Habermas shift in focus from classical theory of society based on materialisms and instrumental rationality to a focus on language, communications, and dialogue as the foundations of social interactions and regions. Inspired by developments in the philosophy of language, particularly the work of Ludwig Wittgenstein, John Austin's, and a speech act theory, Habermas recognized the social coordinations and human cooperations depend upon not just their strategic and goal-oriented behavior, but also on mutual understandings achieved through the communicative acts. For Habermas, language is not just a tool for conveying information, but a medium through the which humans establish relationships, cooperate, and construct a social world. He argued that potential for rational consciousness and social integrations lie on the communicative actions, where individuals seek mutual understandings through dialogues. Two types of the actions, that is communicative versus instrumentals. In the theory of communicative actions, Habermas distinguishes between the two fundamental types of human actions, that is, instrumental actions and communicative actions. Instrumental actions, that is, talk about to behaviors aimed at achieving a specific goals or kind of the manipulating the environments to the produce certain outcomes. These types of action is characterized by the uh, means in rationality, where individuals use a strategy to reach their objectives. Instrumental actions is most evident in and technical system where efficiency and productivity are prioritized. A strategic actions is a subtype of instrumental actions where individuals interact with the others not for mutual understandings but to influence or manipulate others to achieve their own goals. Sorry. Another thing that is called the communicative actions. In contrast, communicative actions is a type of social interactions where individuals engage in dialogues to reach mutual understandings and coordinations their actions. Based on the shared norms and value, the primary aim of the communicative actions is not to achievements of individual goals, but the establishment of consciousness through the exchange of regions. Rationality in communicative actions. Rationality here does not refer to the efficiency of means to end, as in instrumental rationality, but to the validity of change individuals make in conversions. However, must identify three types of validity claims that are inherent in the communicative acts. Truth, the claims that statements correspond to the facts or objective reality. Rightness, the claim that actions or norms is morally acceptable within the particular social context. Sincerity, the claim that a speaker is being honest and genuine in their expressions. Participants in communicative actions are expected to provide reasons that support these claims, and others have the right to challenge or question them. Through this process of reasons, givings, and justifications, participants can achieve a mutual understanding and consensus. Next is that is talking about the life world and the system. A key innovations in the Habermas theory is his differentiation between the two spheres of social life. One is life world and the second is the system. This distinction is central to understanding the how modern society are structures and where tensions will arise between the communicatives and instrumental rationality. Five, life word. The life word refers to the shared cultural and social backgrounds of everyday life, where individuals engage in the communicative actions to create and maintain social relationship and norms and value. It is the domains of informal communications, personal relationship, and social integrations in the live world. People coordinate their actions based on mutual understandings, shared cultural knowledge, and common experience. The live world is the source of social integrations, provide individuals with the frameworks of shared meanings and norms that guide their interactions. It encompasses family life, community, and cultural practice, all of which rely on the communicative actions for their reproductions and the stability. Next is that is called about the system. The system refer to the formal structural dominance of the society, where instrumental rationality dominates such as the economy and the state. In this system, social actions are coordinated through the money and power rather than communicative process. These systems operate according to the rules of efficiency, control, and goal-oriented behaviors, often disconnected from the normatives and cultural framework of the life world. While the system is necessary for the complex functionings of the modern society, such as marked bureaucracy and legal system, it can also lead to the colonizations of the commemorative rationality of everyday life. These colonizations undermine democratic process, personal relationship, and cultural traditions, leading to alienations and societal pathologies. These are the important things. Now come to the rationality and colonizations of the live world. Habermas is critical of the increasing dominance of instrumental rationality in the modern capitalist society. He argued that system logics of efficiency and control is presenting the live world, a process he called the colonizations of the live world. These colonizations occurs when economics and administrative system governed by the money and powers impose themselves on the area of life traditionally governed by the communicative rationality such as family life, educations, and politics. Effects of the colonizations, depolitizations, citizens become passive recipients of the state policy and economic conditions with favor opportunity for active participations in the public life. Second is alienations. The relationship in personal and public sphere become increasingly instrumental with individuals viewing each other not just the capable or mutual understandings but as the object to be manipulated for personal gain. Next is the crisis in legitimations. As the life world becomes subordinated to system impersonalized, citizens lost trust in the institutions and legitimacy of democratic process erode. The public sphere, which should be a space for rational discourse and democratic decision making, because dominance by the strategics manipulations, and technocratic managements. Here, talking about the Habermas solutions is to rebalancing of communicatives and instrumental rationality, where the livelihood is safeguarded from the encroachments by the systems and communicatives actions play a central role in the democratic life. He advocates for deliberations democracy in which citizens actively engage in the public debates and decision makings through the regions inclusive and dialogues. Next, talking about that is the discourse ethics, a normative foundations. One of the key components of Habermas' linguistics term is the developments of discourse ethics, which provides a normative foundations for communicative actions. Discourse ethic is based on the idea that morals norms can only be justified through the rational discourse, where all affected parties engage in open, non-cooperative debate to reach consciousness and all the things. Key principles of discourse and ethics. Universalizations of the principles. That means a norm is valid only if all affected individuals could agree to it after participations in rational discourse. In other words, norm must be justifiable to all the participations in an ideal speech situations where powers imbalance are removed and all voices are heard. Ideal speech situations, Habermas' concept of the ideal speech situations refer to a scenario in which communication is free from the dominance and participants engage in rational open dialogues. In this context, everyone has equal opportunity to contribute the challenge and justify the claims. The goal is to reach a consensus based on the best arguments rather than on coercions, manipulations, and power dynamics. Next, discourse ethics provide a foundational for the democratic legitimacy because it shows that norms and decisions that emerge from the inclusive regions debate are legitimate and the findings. Next is that is talking about the communicative actions and deliberative democracy. Habermas' linguistic term has profound implications for democracy. He argued that a healthy democracy rely on deliberative process where public decisions are made through the communicative actions rather than top-down technocratic strategic decision making. Deliberative democracy emphasize the importance of public discourse where citizens free from dominations engage in rational debate to shape law, policy, and institutions. Features of deliberative democracy. Public sphere as a sphere for dialogues. The public sphere is a crucial arena for communicative actions where citizens can debate public issue, challenge policy, and hold authority accountable. Inclusions and participations. Deliberative democracy requires that all affected party have the opportunity to participate in decision-making process. The goal is to create policy that are justiciable to everyone affected by them. Rational critical debate. Public discourse should be based on the reasons givings and mutual understandings rather than manipulations or strategic behaviors. Last one, that is the critics and the influence. While talking about the Hammersbark's theory, linguistic terms, while the theory of the communicative actions has been widely influenced, it has also faced criticisms. Some argue that Habermas' ideals operational discourse is too utopian given the reality of power imbalance, social inequality, and manipulations in contemporary society. Critics also suggested that his emphasis on the consciousness may overlook the value of pluralisms and conflict in democratic life. Despite those critics, Habermas' theory remains a foundational contribution to social theory and democratic thoughts. His emphasis on language, communications, and the dialogue as the basis of social interactions has influenced fields as diverse as political science, ethics, sociology, and philosophy. Here I am talking about the Habermas theory. Communicative actions marks a significant shift in the social theory by focusing on language and communications as the basis of social interactions. Thank you for hearing the lectures.